Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. This time I'm watching a video about some dude from Hollywood who's apparently being arrested now. I don't know who he is. I don't know what he's being arrested for. That's what I'm here to find out. The link to the original video will be in the description below.
The P. Diddy scandal has finally uncovered just how dark and twisted those in control of our culture really are. From some of the most disturbing sex parties ever recorded.
I'm sorry, what? Is this shit actually real? How do you boast about this? How is this something to be proud of? I wonder how much longer it's going to be until all of Hollywood just falls. We should get rid of Hollywood. It's a cancer to society.
Sleepovers with a teenage Justin Bieber, funding and controlling your favorite celebrities.
So he's a
hosting his own
pedophile
Love
too.
Island, where he took people off the radar.
I got an island, it's called Love Island. When you going off the grid with me, you gotta go to sleep for a week.
Freak-off parties, whilst also allegedly taking down some of the most iconic musicians in the industry. The P. Diddy situation is truly disturbing, and now that he's in custody, only time will tell what's going to happen next. But the fact that this has been going on secretly behind the closed doors of the Hollywood elite for decades shows just how well covered this truly was. But now finally, the truth is unraveling in front of our very eyes.
Probably nothing is going to happen
needs
to him.
hardly any introduction. Before he was infamous for his crimes, he was at the top of society. He rubbed shoulders with some of the most powerful celebrities in the world. He knew everyone.
Wait, was that Trump?
He rubbed shoulders with some of the most powerful celebrities.
That's Trump, right? That has to be Trump. How is it that he apparently rubbed shoulders with Trump, but I've never heard of him? Like, I still don't know who this guy is or what he's like done to become famous.
In the world. He knew everyone in the music industry, from Jay-Z, Beyonce, Snoop Dogg, to Biggie Smalls, and even Justin Bieber. However, this recent case has exposed how truly twisted the celebrity elites truly are. The investigation began initially in November 2023 by Sean's ex-girlfriend, Cassandra Cassie.
So this is pretty old.
She accused him of misconduct and filed a lawsuit. Cassandra and P. Diddy then settled out of court the very next day, and one of his lawyers, Ben Brafman, was clear that it was by no means an admission of wrongdoing. P. Diddy then released a statement wishing Cassandra the best in order to further support the idea that he was innocent. But guilty or not, it certainly left a stain on his name. Cassandra then released a statement
that's a PR move.
friends and family for their support, and the settlement amount was left undisclosed. It seemed to be a case closed, done and dusted job, or at least that's what he thought. Little did P. Diddy know that this would be the beginning of the end for him, and would start the ball rolling with many accusations and investigations that would lead to his
16
demise.
years.
A further 2 lawsuits were then filed, with accusations of abuse and sexual assault by 2 other women. Joy Dickerson claimed that in 1991, when she was just a 19-year-old college student, P. Diddy had drugged her after a date and sexually assaulted her in her home. Liza Gardner was the next victim to come forward, claiming she and a friend were drugged and put in separate rooms where at first, P. Diddy and then Aaron Paul would do awful sexual acts against them. She then found out her friend had the exact same treatment as well, as it seems like they both took turns doing these awful crimes against these girls. Liza was just 16 at the time, and then a few days later, P. Diddy pitched up at her house and assaulted her again, this time choking her until she passed out, as he was irritated at the thought that Liza might mention this to his girlfriend. Then in December 2023, another person came forward with more accusations aimed at him. She claimed that she had been gang raped and sex trafficked. She said that Harvey Pierre, who was the president of Combs Bad Boy Records, flew her from Detroit to New York in 2023. However, while with them, a third man joined P. Diddy and Pierre and gang raped her. P. Diddy even complained that he couldn't.
The death penalty should be brought back for these kinds of people. It's difficult to call them people because I would honestly only call them monsters, nothing else. They don't deserve to be called people. Bring back the death penalty, man.
Finish until he had his nipples pinched. The suit included a photograph from the night in question of her sitting on Sheen's lap. She was only 17 then, and was now the 4th woman to come forward and just...
Man, he loves underage
this
people.
This time P. Diddy did not settle.
That says a lot.
In fact, he issued a statement on his Instagram saying, quote, "Enough is enough. For the last couple of weeks, I have sat silently and watched people try to assassinate my character, destroy my reputation and my legacy. Sickening allegations have been made against me by individuals looking for a quick payday. Let me be absolutely clear. I did not do any of these awful things being alleged. I will fight for my name, my family, and
that's what they all
truth."
say.
But there were several red flags hinted by friends of P. Diddy, particularly in Usher's interview with Howard Stern, where subtle suggestions indicate that these new allegations were possibly founded as far back as 2016, back when the
all of the people who knew about this but never came out to say anything, they're accomplices. They were in on it. They were aware, but they didn't say anything. They are just as much at fault as this P. Diddy guy. They're all horrible freaks. Not gonna call them people, because they don't deserve that much.
Interview took place, as Usher described his experiences when he lived with Sheen Coon for a year, and said he was exposed to some very curious things, but at that age he didn't understand it.
I moved to New York City, and I lived with Sean Puffy Combs for a year.
We're sending you
New
over
York
to something
City.
called Puffy Flavor Camp.
There you go.
To learn
Flavor Camp.
Yeah,
Flavor
that's what it
Camp.
was called. Puffy's place was like just filled with chicks and orgying like nonstop, right?
No, not really. I
Come
mean,
on.
but hey, it was curious. I got a chance to see some things.
Yeah, but you were 13. What were you
I
seeing?
went there to see the lifestyle. I
13?
don't know if I could indulge and understand what I was even looking at. It was pretty wild.
I mean, he was 13. He probably didn't even go to puberty yet.
What I did say is that there were very curious things taking place, and I didn't necessarily understand it.
It's only now that it stands out because it further supports the allegations.
Is that not a
And Howard
crime?
asked Usher if he would allow his own
Exposing
son to participate in the Puffy
an
Flavor
underage
Camp.
person
P.
to
Diddy
stuff like
reported,
that?
Usher didn't hesitate to say no.
14 years old. You're a dad now. Would you ever send your kid to Puffy Camp?
Hell no.
In a Rolling Stone interview with Usher in 2004, he elaborated on his experiences with living with P. Diddy. He said there was always girls around. You'd open a door and see somebody doing it, or several people in a room having an orgy. You never knew what was going to happen. With this in mind, it wasn't that surprising that by February 27th, 2024, the producer of P. Diddy's album, The Love Album, sued P. Diddy for $30 million for sexual assault. He claimed that he was also drugged and woke up in a bed with 2 male sex workers and Mr. P. Diddy himself. His lawsuit included P. Diddy's son Justin, who he claimed would bring underage girls home and then drug them, while his dad secretly filmed these sexual acts. Although an adult film actor called D'Angelo Knockout Marquise claimed that one of the
Every single person who works in these industries should be investigated, at least once a year. In my opinion, everyone who works in the film industry, the music industry, anyone who's a social media personality that's actually gotten to grow pretty big, should be investigated once a year. Minimum. Because he's not the only one who does this. There's so many people in on this who take part in it. They should all be investigated and trialed, not just him. This just helps further prove that everybody, and I mean everybody, with maybe a few exceptions, is just terrible people when it comes to Hollywood. Social media personalities, they're all terrible, with like a few exceptions. Maybe. They all suck.
photos used in the lawsuit was actually a still from one of his films. Although perhaps discredited, where there's smoke, there's fire, and P. Diddy was now desperately trying to put the fires out as more and more took to flame. P. Diddy actually admits that he did document everything in his life, so any sexual male acts could have easily been caught on tape, and the fear of that exposure will keep some from coming forward as well. Gene Deal, P. Diddy's former bodyguard, said in an interview that the freak-off included P. Diddy having sex with male escorts that his then-girlfriend was forced to find.
Looking at this lawsuit, she
Jesus
alleges
Christ.
Diddy, he'll make her look online for BBCs for their freak-off sessions. And she say that, in this lawsuit that, Diddy, he enjoyed watching her get smashed by BBCs.
And she was searching for the big black, not only for herself, but for somebody else who we all know that was in the room with her. They had to be for both of them, they was in the room.
P. Diddy would make them wear masks to keep their identity from Casey.
She also alleges that, while she was having sex with these male prostitutes, the male prostitutes, and Diddy, they all wore masquerade masks.
He didn't want her to know who they were.
Which is why on March 25th, 2024, P. Diddy's homes in both LA and Miami were raided by the Department of Homeland Security investigations in New York. The raid was part of the investigation of sex trafficking led by the Southern District of New York, perhaps prompted by the now 5 victims who had come forward, one of which was a male who also chose to remain
How is it that
anonymous.
there's 5
Because of this,
victims
the
who came
investigators
forward
seized
and he
guns
was still not
P. Diddy's
arrested at this
phone on
point?
the day of the raid. It was reported that over 1,000 bottles of baby oil and lubricant were found on the property. This unusual find
How
would be
much
laughable
do you
if it weren't
need?
so incriminating to the horrific charges. It only supported flying rumors of sex parties that would go on for days with drugged up women and male escorts, all performing sexual acts in the quote freak off to satisfy P. Diddy's endless need for lust. In the Los Angeles home, P. Diddy's sons were also put in handcuffs during the raid. It was reported by their mother that the federal agents used excessive unnecessary force and that it was just racially motivated. But it couldn't be any further from the truth.
Of course! Black guy is being arrested for committing crimes. That's racially motivated. Classic excuse. It happens every time a black guy gets arrested. Who gives a shit? It's bullshit.
Everyone allegedly involved was being taken down, and over the coming months the truth would unravel about how truly disturbing this Hollywood celebrity culture truly was. Now,
They
P.
should
Diddy's
all be
parties are
shot
known to
and
be insane,
killed
as you
on
can
the
probably
spot.
tell by the 1,000 bottles of
Death
baby oil.
penalty.
At these
Bring
parties,
it
was
back.
reported that the drugs offered were all designed so that party participants could go on for hours having sex. There was a drink called the Tootsie, which was dosed with a bunch of drugs. Jaguar Wright explained this in an interview, as she said that P. Diddy would put in Special K, also known as ketamine, to relax your muscles.
Now, if you don't know what ketamine is what they call on the street Special K. It's a veterinary drug. It's a horse tranquilizer.
Why is it being
This was
censored?
then mixed with cocaine and Viagra to counteract the negative side effect of limp noodle.
Why is that word being censored but the other stuff not? I'm questioning whether or not I can say it now, because does YouTube not like that word specifically?
As Jaguar described it, creating the perfect mix to relax you while still keeping you completely energized for sex.
The cocaine keep you up all night, but unfortunately, it gives you limp noodle because of what the blood flow is. So you want to fuck with a half-hard dick all night. So that's why you have the Viagra, to make sure that the dick involuntarily stays hard while you're numbing your fucking self with the coke.
Jamie Foxx even said that he'd been to one of these parties, and is very likely that most people in the celebrity LA Hollywood culture would be partaking in this stuff, especially with the recent allegations coming forward in the last couple of weeks. And it's truly disturbing to think what was happening there. Recently a video was shown by CNN of P. Diddy.
Every single person who took part in this is guilty in one way or another. None of them are innocent. None of them are victims. Well, except for maybe some of these people who were there against their will, but the vast majority of them are guilty.
Assaulting Casey, which further supported her claims.
And they should all be
The video
arrested.
shows her trying to leave the hotel party, and P. Diddy had already given her a black eye by this point. In the video, P. Diddy's wearing nothing but a towel, and as he catches up to her, he violently pushes her down, then proceeds to kick her twice and tries to drag her down the hall. The footage shows further abuse when he throws a bunch of glass in her direction. It's obvious that he's very intoxicated at the time, having just emerged from one of these awful parties.
Doesn't matter.
After this footage
It's
went
still
public,
assault.
P. Diddy posted an apology saying he was disgusted with himself when it happened, and
I beat the shit out of someone. I'm disgusted with myself. Here's a public apology. Just stop. Who posts a public apology after that? Do you think that's gonna make you look good? You think that's gonna excuse the actions you committed? What's an apology supposed to do? Like what? What is the thought process here?
that he's disgusted with himself now.
It's so difficult to reflect on the darkest times in your life. Sometimes you gotta do that.
This is honestly
I was
pathetic.
fucked up. I mean, I hit rock bottom, but I make no excuses. My behavior on that video is inexcusable.
No excuses.
I
You are
take
making
full
excuses right
responsibility
fucking
for
now.
my actions in that video. I'm disgusted. I was disgusted then when I did it. I'm disgusted now.
He claimed that he
You
sought
are
help and went
disgusting.
to rehab after the incident.
I went and
As
I
is
sought out
everyone who takes
professional
part
help.
in this
I
stuff.
had to go into therapy and go into rehab. Had to ask God for his mercy and grace. I'm so sorry. But I'm committed to be a better man each and every day. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm truly sorry.
The LA County District Attorney
I wonder if there's anyone who actually believes whenever celebrities put out apologies. Is anyone naive enough to actually believe that? I would hope not, because you would have to truly be a gullible idiot to believe anything that a celebrity says when they're apologizing, because it's never a real apology. It's just for PR and to make themselves look good and to put the whole situation behind them so that it gets forgotten. There's definitely going to be some simps who actually believe it, but I hope most people are smart enough to realize that it's all just BS.
Attorney's office also issued a statement saying that while the video was hard to watch, they could not use it for further action as the footage and incident happened beyond the timeline where it'd be of legal use. However, they encouraged others to come forward.
Are you
It was explained that
serious?
P. Diddy paid the hotel $50,000 for the footage so that it would not be leaked to the public. The sad reality is that this is the
Wow.
only incident caught in surveillance and actually exposed to the public. However, Casey's lawsuit was riddled with far more horrific accusations.
After seeing that, you can honestly just assume everything else is true. What more evidence do you need? You had multiple people come out and say that he did this type of stuff. Then you get video evidence of it happening. At that point, yeah, everything else that they said before, that they claimed, is definitely true.
That girl went through some tumultuous shit that she never thought that she would ever have to go through being in the music business.
She claimed that P. Diddy would go into fits of rage and that she was his main target of savage beatings.
They went into the bedroom and shut the door, and all I could hear is screaming and yelling and whatever was going on in there, I don't know. But all I could think of was to grab Cassie's things and start packing it up and just getting her out to safety.
She claimed that he would drug her and force her to have
Good.
sex with other men while he watched, filmed, and masturbated to it. This has since been dubbed as a freak-off, and as we've mentioned, it's come up in many other accusations as well. She also claimed to try to leave him in 2018, which ended up with her getting odd. Casey also claimed that for a brief time she and Kid Cudi started a romantic relationship, but when P. Diddy found out about it, he threatened to set his car on fire and wanted to make sure that Kid Cudi was there when it happened. While it seemed like an idle threat, it did indeed happen. 2 weeks later, Kid Cudi's car was deliberately set alight. As for P. Diddy, this footage of the abuse could not have come at a worse time. He was already being investigated, adding fuel to the fire. Women were coming forward with further accusations, and even men like the Michigan inmate Derek Lee Smith sued P. Diddy for $100 million and won by default. It seemed that P. Diddy didn't even show up to defend himself for this one. In Derek's suit, he claimed that while at a party in Detroit in 1997, he was a victim of groping and sexual assault by P. Diddy. And once these accusations started coming forward, people started realizing that P. Diddy was just the tip of a giant iceberg, of a huge Hollywood conspiracy.
Yeah, it's
you
all
see,
of Hollywood.
Eminem, who's known to rap out his opinions, recently dropped a line in his Kill Shot diss track, mainly aimed at Machine Gun Kelly, that brought up the possibility of P. Diddy's involvement in Tupac's murder. The line that had fans reeling went, "Kill was the day you put out hits, the day Diddy admits that he put the hit out that got Tupac killed," which was then followed by, "I'm just playing Diddy, you know I love you," and many share Eminem's suspicions. Although there has been no real proof,
I'm just
it
playing.
is possible
Don't
that Eminem
kill
is
me.
not holding back as P. Diddy's record company Bad Boy Records is funding MGK, who was gunning for Eminem. But Eminem didn't stop there. In other songs like Antichrist, he brings up the video of P. Diddy and Casey and makes fun of possible reasons for P. Diddy to chase Casey. In another song, Fuel, he brings up the lawsuit and insinuates that P. Diddy tried to have Tupac's alleged murderer killed. In another song, Bad One, Eminem raps about P. Diddy possibly blowing up Kid Cudi's car. It hit such a nerve that P. Diddy demanded a public apology from Eminem. He believed that the rapper had gone way too far and was doing more
Demands
damage
a
to his
public
reputation
apology,
in light of the new
'cause he
developments.
knows
Well, he's not
it's
wrong,
all
because
true.
Eminem's fan base outnumbers any other rapper, and they tend to be loyal and hang on to their every word. Especially when it comes to the disturbing life behind the scenes in the music industry and Hollywood world, people trust that Eminem isn't just making this up. All these allegations seem to stem from a time when P. Diddy came off as a powerful icon in the industry.
If Diddy was still at the top, but Eminem still put this stuff out, then that was a huge risk. So you know he's not making this stuff up, and now it's all proven true. So honestly, Eminem pretty trustworthy now.
This speaks to the intimidation and manipulations used to keep all those people quiet. In 1999, certain testimonies indicate that P. Diddy got away with a shootout in a club. At the same time, P. Diddy and his then girlfriend J. Lo went to the club and got into an altercation with Matthew Scar Allen. P. Diddy knocked a drink out of Matthew's hand, which sparked the violence, where P. Diddy threw money in his face as a sign of disrespect. As it got heated, both of them drew their guns and fired into the crowd. 3 victims survived to tell the tale, but one victim in particular stands out. Natania Rubin reports that she saw P. Diddy do the shooting while Sheen shot into the ceiling. She herself was shot in the face, and her testimony has not wavered since.
I watched them both fire their guns. I watched them. And that is exactly how I sit here today. Because some thug criminal with an attitude and an ego that was outside of control decided he was going to fire a gun in a crowded nightclub and shot me in my face.
She was so adamant about it that she offered to get bullet fragments removed from her skull to use as forensic evidence. However, P. Diddy was once again acquitted, with Shane taking the fall, being sentenced to 10 years in prison, pulling the strings behind the scenes once again, and P. Diddy got away scot-free. This was even brought up in Rodney's suit, as P. Diddy would tell him that he even got away with shooting people and would display his gun.
I did say earlier that they should bring back the death penalty, but at the same time, that seems a bit too easy, too quick. These people shouldn't just be killed, they should rot away in jail for the rest of their lives, for at least 20 to 30 years, if not more than that. So yeah, no, don't bring back the death penalty, that's too easy. You can't let them off that easy, they have to suffer and feel the pain. They have to rot away in jail for the rest of their lives. That's a far better punishment than death.
Guns to instill fear to keep Rodney silent and compliant. The more we uncover about P. Diddy's life, the more these testimonies start to line up a very dark picture of what it takes to actually succeed in the celebrity culture, and how truly powerful the people pulling the strings really are. P. Diddy just seems to be the tip of the iceberg. Just one guy who was so clumsy, made so many obvious mistakes, and became so hated by the industry that he's finally now being exposed. But who knows how many
everyone
other
else
people
probably
out
does the
there
same
doing
stuff.
The exact same thing, or even
Would not
worse.
surprise
But
me.
soon another 2 victims would come forward. This time the model Crystal McKinney, who claimed she met P. Diddy in 2003 at a fashion event. He found her attractive and offered to help her with her career, and once he had her at his studio, he gave her alcohol and offered her laced marijuana, stating, "You've never had weed like this before." Quickly, she was
because
very
it's drugged.
intoxicated, and P. Diddy took her into a bathroom and forced her to perform some certain acts. Later on, she woke up in a cab, but luckily remembered what had happened, and she kept her clothes in plastic if they were ever needed for forensics. But because of his power, she only filed the lawsuit in May of 2024. April Lamprose is another victim of a much older but longer case. In 1994, she would meet P. Diddy, as he offered to mentor her in pursuing a fashion career. However, this would turn into a lawsuit of 4 incidents where P. Diddy would sexually assault her over the next 6 or 7 years. If she refused his advances, he would go berserk, which almost made her feel obliged. P. Diddy then taped it all without her knowledge and had shown these clips to others. She felt like he had the power to ruin her career in an instant, so she always had to be careful. After a few years, she bumped into him again. This time he apologized for his behavior, but then fell straight back into his old tricks to lure her in. The indictment revealed that P. Diddy also threatened his victims, including by threatening to expose the embarrassing and sensitive recordings he made of freak-offs, if the woman didn't comply with his demands. Kidnapping, also one of the charges, was briefly mentioned in a joking manner in a Conan interview with P. Diddy, where he says, quote, "I don't know if you guys have noticed this, a lot of ladies drink water at parties. They just, so if you don't have what they need, they're gonna leave. You need locks on the doors." And while the crowd laughs at the time, it's only in hindsight did we realize how disturbing the statement truly was.
I don't know if guys have noticed this, like a lot of ladies drink water at parties. They just, so if you don't have what they need, they're gonna leave. Right. Gotta keep them there. Right. You need locks on the doors.
Which is why last week on September 16th, 2024, P. Diddy was finally
This stuff adds a lot more context to what he said back then.
arrested at a hotel in Manhattan on charges of sex trafficking, racketeering, conspiracy, and transportation to engage in prostitution. His lawyers claimed he intended to hand himself in, but wasn't awarded the chance. He also claimed that he had handed over his passport, but it was cleverly worded as he had only handed it over to his lawyer, not the federal government. The reason this is important is because he was trying to show that he was not a flight risk, and therefore able to be released on bail. If P. Diddy did try to leave the country, it would turn into a nightmare trying to get him back. However, his lawyer would have discouraged this. Still, it didn't matter because the judge denied his bail. His lawyer then appealed bail on the 18th of September,
very good,
offering $50 million, which was again denied. And P. Diddy is now facing up to life in prison should he be convicted of a long list of charges, including forced labor,
and he should,
bribery, and obstruction.
He should face life in prison.
The team tried to silence many witnesses with bribes, but while his life went from expensive cars and parties with some of the most rich and famous pop stars in mansions and hotels, he's now confined to 4 walls of a prison cell, waking people up to how disturbing
exactly how it should be.
Truly is. It's also known that the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, where he's currently being detained, is known to be hell on earth. It's the same prison that housed R. Kelly, who faced very similar charges, and Mr. Jeffrey was also a former inmate before he was found dead. Since the second appeal of bail was denied, P. Diddy has been put on an S-Watch. His lawyers have said that they'll fight this with all
also good,
as they believe he's innocent. But it's believed that the defense attorneys have an airtight case and are very confident that their investigation findings will secure a guilty verdict. Regardless of the outcome, his career is completely over. He's been exposed for all the vile stuff.
As it should be.
Keep on unraveling. All his business colleagues and former friends have done everything they can to distance themselves from him. It appears that Usher's deleted a bunch of tweets to get some distance, and even though he claims he didn't do this, it does seem very suspicious and nobody really believes him. But many celebrities are too scared to even speak out against P. Diddy, and some might fear the footage the feds have that could implicate them. It's been reported that Justin Bieber is so shocked about the crimes of P. Diddy that he's unwilling to talk about it. And after all the videos of him and Justin Bieber
that's very suspicious.
It's said that Justin's completely shut down. And you can only imagine some awful things have happened behind the scenes that we'll never truly know about. Justin, who once looked up to and admired the music mogul, now regrets collaborating with P. Diddy on his latest album, and there's probably way more to it than just that. More information has also been leaked about how P. Diddy funded Bad Boy Records by drugging his guests with food and drinks and then filming orgies to blackmail the elite high-profile guests. Castle Black made the claim, and said he had been waiting to come out with the truth about his knowledge of the matter. But no matter what, this entire scandal should really highlight how disturbing the celebrity world really is, how there's power brokers pulling strings behind the scenes, controlling everyone in the industry, and if you don't fall in line, you can easily be blackmailed, which makes it so that it's almost impossible to know what's really going on. But with more clues like this, people are starting to wake up to how truly awful the celebrity industry truly is.
Nah, there's still gonna be a bunch of simps who just worship these people, because they're idiots. So what did we learn today? Hate celebrities, don't worship them like fucking sheep, don't do drugs, don't drink alcohol, Don't go into the music industry or any industry that's got anything to do with Hollywood or any other celebrities. Always assume the worst about them. Always think they're terrible people, because most of them are definitely terrible people, as it's every day someone's being arrested over something. Every day there's allegations against some fucking celebrity. How many YouTubers were exposed as PDF files just this year alone? How many other people were also exposed for other stuff this year? They're all terrible. Make sure all these people rot away in jail for the rest of their lives, just like they should. I hope he doesn't manage to off himself in prison. I hope they make sure he stays there for at least a good 2 decades, if not longer, because it's less than he deserves. He's going to a very hot, fiery place after he dies. Well, anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, why not leave a like, subscribe, comment, you know, the usual YouTube stuff. And if you're interested, why not watch this video right here? And with that, I hope I'll see you in the next video.